Hello students, this is Professor McDermott with your video introduction to Module 3. Let's start by recapping the document discussions for Module 2. We had documents on the issue of organized labor, pro and con. Group 1, you had Samuel Gompers, the president of the American Federation of Labor. And as I'm recording this on Wednesday evening, you guys are still posting on the focus thread working on your final answer, which is fine. So I'm going to just quote a couple of individual posts that I think give the flavor of this document very well. Elisha Cox writes, Gompers argues that corporations monopolize the needs of man, and then they discard them as nothing but trash. They focus on growing their bank accounts and making their lives easier rather than focusing on bettering the lives of the persons that make them that money. He's saying to them that we all are men who have wives, children, needs, and should be treated as such. He also argues about the use of machinery taking over the jobs of thousands of men faster than the growth of the upcoming industries. These companies he called modern vampires, as they ravage everything that they come into contact with. And Olivia Cook had this to say about the document. I agree with Gompers' arguments in favor of the labor unions. Gompers mentions that the monopoly's wealth lies in the hands of a select few, while the working men have little to no input regarding wages, hours, and conditions which directly apply to them. Corporations consumed with greed and cupidity were no longer concerned with their workers and were simply consumed with themselves. And I like those two quotes because I think that they really capture the passionate nature of Gompers' article. He was writing it in the middle of the Depression of the 1890s when many people were suffering and out of work. And it's also important to remember that all of the protections in the workplace that we take for granted, things like health insurance, workers' comp, Social Security, pensions, vacations, didn't really exist at the time Gompers was writing. And so for these workers, they saw it as really a matter of life and death, that they were able to organize their unions and to fight for better wages and better working conditions. However, there are two sides to every story in this course, and Group 2, you had someone from representing the very opposite viewpoint, N.F. Thompson, from Huntsville, Alabama, who was a railroad tycoon and a staunch foe of organized labor. And in the group answer, which Christian Harris posted, I thought you summarized it very nicely. The most agreed on point was Thompson stated that the labor unions were destroying the respect for law and authority among the working classes by, for instance, encouraging violence at strikes. Another strong point was they are creating widespread disregard for the rights of others, equally as entitled to the protection of organized society as their own, as evidenced in every strike that occurs and the increasing arbitrariness of labor demands on employers. And Thompson especially mentions that the unions want only labor union members to be eligible to work in factories, and their hostility to scabs, people that are not union members who want to work. Another argument he makes, this is back to the group answer, is that they are educating the laboring class against the employing class, thus creating antagonisms between parties. So Thompson brings up a lot of the fears of many Americans at the time that the labor unions were radical organizations that were promoting class warfare and also reducing respect for law and authority in the Constitution, making the workers loyal only to the union and not to American principles or to the government. So, all right, good job, Groups 1 and 2. Now let's move on to Group 3, who had a third point of view from the great steel monopolist Andrew Carnegie. In the answer posted by Rita Reynolds, they succinctly summarized Carnegie's solution to the problems of of the rich and poor in America. After reading the post for Group 3 and replying to Focus, 3 people responded to what we felt the answer for this discussion would be. Carnegie felt the super rich would redistribute wealth better than others by way of giving back to the community by funding libraries, parks, and other recreational uses. In other words, Carnegie thought that the rich of people of America were valuable um, because they were benefactors to poor people. But he thought that they were only trustees of their wealth, that they should live a simple, humble life, and that they should actually give away most of the money that they made for institutions like libraries and parks. He didn't believe in giving people just handouts of cash because he was sure that that would be wasted. But he wanted to create institutions that would help poor people to better themselves and move up the ladder of society. And Carnegie certainly put his money where his mouth was in this regard. He gave away almost his entire multi-million-dollar fortune building parks and libraries all over this country, and schools as well. You're, of course, familiar with modern philanthropists like Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates, who are also giving away large portions of their wealth. But when you hear about those guys, I want you to think first of Andrew Carnegie, because he was the first great American philanthropist, the first to really take this approach. But there was a very healthy, again, difference of opinion in Group 3, and I liked the provocative posts of people who were skeptical about Carnegie's point of view. For instance, Ramona Thielen said, Carnegie's ideas sound good, but only in theory, as we have played witness to through the ages since this document was written. With the foreign trade agreements, many of the manufacturing houses, factories, and corporations have moved their businesses to other countries, leaving our domestic labor force struggling to find adequate employment. Jobs that were once held by teenagers are now being sought by adults, just trying to pay rent, let alone put food on the table. If what Carnegie held true were the same for those in wealthy positions today, we wouldn't have such a crisis of unemployment, homelessness, and those depending on welfare. And Robin Weigon, forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, Robin, but while expressing admiration for Carnegie, ended her post this way, as long as the wealthy use their position and resources for the good of everyone, then I agree that they play a very positive role in society. Most successful people are intelligent and exquisite problem solvers. They can provide ideas and options to problems that affect the poor groups. However, it is becoming more common for the wealthy to possess a selfish attitude. I stand behind the verses 1 John 3:17 to 18. If anyone has material possessions and sees his brother in need but has no pity on him, how can the love of God be in him? Dear children, let us not love with words or tongue, but in action and in truth. End quote. All right, so I'm not obviously taking sides on this issue. I think this is a multifaceted issue, but I really liked the way that those who posted explored the issues very well, and I think this provides a good basis for even stronger discussion, even more vigorous discussion in future modules. So thank you for that. The chairs for Module 3 will be William Brown for Group 1, Kayla Horn for Group 2, and Katrina Robinson for Group 3. Please, William, Kayla, or Katrina, don't hesitate to contact me if you're unsure about what being the chair actually involves. Okay, very important announcements now to finish up. First of all, your article assignment, the first of 3 stages in the semester-long writing project you're going to be doing, is due at the end of Module 3, that is 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, September the 18th. And your ultimate goal will be to write a biographical essay that will have a strong thesis statement about an important American during the period we're studying in the course. And so your first step for this article assignment is simply to find one article from Galileo about that person, write a one-paragraph summary, and include the citation in MLA format for that article. In order to do this, of course, you need to read the instructions for your 3 written assignments very carefully. That's posted in Module 2. Also posted in Module 2 is a PowerPoint called How to Find and Cite Articles in Galileo. Please review that. You'll find it very helpful, I think. And, of course, as always, let me know if you have any questions. I'm very happy to help at all stages of this project. Next, of course, your first exam will be open September 16th through 20th, except for the D2L downtime I mentioned in my last email. So because of that downtime, I would ask, if you're using ProctorU, please don't schedule an appointment between 8 p.m. on September 16th and 7 a.m. on September 17th. Any other time is fine. If you're planning to take the exam at the on-campus Darton Testing Center, you must do it on Monday the 19th or Tuesday the 20th. If you're not going to use the testing center, you can either use ProctorU or request an off-campus proctor from the Department of Online Services. You'll find the instructions for all three options in the documents in the Start Here folder. So please review those carefully, and especially if you're not coming to the testing center, start making arrangements as soon as possible to take the exam. The exam format will be like this. It has 15 multiple choice questions, 7 short answer or fill in the blank questions, and 1 essay. I have posted a study guide in Module 2. This is in the form of a timeline, all the things we've covered in the course till the end of Module 3. It includes all the important people, events, and many of the concepts you'll need to do well on the exam. But of course, you should also review any notes you've taken on the lectures, and your documents will come in handy as you write the essay. So you should refamiliarize yourself with your group's documents. You can draw on those for evidence for the essay portion. All right, let's see. Oh, one more thing. I have posted a short video called How to Write a Good Exam Essay. This is also in Module 2. And I think you'll find it very useful, not only for the essay on the exam, but also for our ongoing writing project. So please do take a few minutes to look at that. Recognizing that you've got a lot on your plate this module, we will have only 2 discussion questions during this module on imperialism, but please don't forget about those, and I look forward to reading your viewpoints on the documents on imperialism. That's it for now. So please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions at all, or if you'd just like to talk about history. Thanks, and good luck.